Hello and welcome to Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Ajibade with the Brain and Body Foundation, and as we are counting down to Christmas, I just felt that we should pay some attention, careful attention, on what I term the fourth law. And before I tell you what the fourth law means, I have a quick announcement to make. As you all know, we are the Brain and Body Foundation, and we do a lot with regards to charity and support for children with brain disorders and now sickle disease. As a matter of fact, we've been authorized and deputized by the Federal Ministry of Health to address sickle cell disease, not just address it. Addressing obviously includes a lot of things. Teaching about it, educating the masses about it, training healthcare professionals about how to address it, but also providing what we would term nutraceuticals, things that can help to rebuild the body. So on the 20th of December, that's this Friday, on the 20th of December in Surulere, we'll be holding a major event for children with sickle cell disease, 12 years and below. And our goal is about 500 kids. You'll see that on the flyer that is in front of you. So we would like to invite you personally, if you are in the Lagos area, to bring your kids. But not just that. If you don't have kids with sickle cell disease, think about supporting kids with sickle cell disease. So become a volunteer, spread the word, or if nothing at all, bring cookies. we need refreshments and all that for the crowds that will be coming. So again, this is just about helping your fellow man, and that's what we've been trying to do all this time. So information is on our website, brainandbodyfoundation.org, and then Brain and Body Foundation on all the different platforms, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, anywhere else. Just go to our website, you'll find the information. Thank you in advance. Thanking you in advance for your help. Okay, let's talk about today's topic, the fourth law. You might be wondering what that is. Well, if you remember, we've talked about the laws of life, and these are the regulatory operating principles. These are the fundamental, the basic principles that affect all of life, all of human life to be specific. And if you might have to go back to our prior tapes on the NTA website or on websites. Did I say tapes? Gosh, that just shows how old I am. Past recordings and links. Yeah, you could probably find a link on our website. But the laws of life are things like what we do as human beings, and that includes how we eat, how we sleep, how we think, how we feel, the kind of work that we do. The fourth law is this, as you can imagine, is a central law. There are three above and three below, and these are all arranged in order, specific order. The words we speak to are very, very important, but the fourth law has to do with our nutrition, or what we put in our mouths. And when I say nutrition, everybody's like, well, we know about that. We need to take a lot of water. We need to take this. We need to take carbohydrates. We need to take proteins, blah, 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 blah. No. It's much more than that. It affects everything. It affects the way you think, believe it or not. It affects the way you sleep. What you put in your mouth or you don't put in your mouth affects how long you live, obviously, and it affects how the drugs that you take work or not work. And I think it's to be regrettable that we as medical professionals aren't impressed enough about the importance of this law, because patients listen to us. Patients will not listen to anybody else except they hear from us first. And if we don't understand or appreciate the importance of nutrition, we won't be able to pass that along to the patient, and therefore they won't take it seriously. So I'm hoping that with what we're doing with NTA and with the Ministry of Health, we will be able to change that. Now, how did I get involved? It certainly wasn't in medical school. It certainly wasn't when I was training as a doctor, treating patients with cancer. It wasn't in any of those things. It was really when I started looking at brain disorders. And as you know, we focus a lot on brain disorders, everything from cerebral palsy to autism to Alzheimer's disease to stroke. But when I started looking at brain disorders, I realized that all the drugs, all the tools that we were using simply weren't cutting it. They weren't And I don't want this to be an indictment on the medical professional, but it just wasn't getting the results that we were hoping they would get. And it's understandable too. The brain is the most complex piece of machinery in the known universe. There's nothing more complicated than it. So simply one drug or two drugs isn't going to do the trick. And once there's damage, it's almost impossible to get full function back, especially if you're just using drugs. And that was the frustration I had in medical school. In medical school, we had all these super smart professors and lecturers who were teaching us about the brain and brain disorders, and we would have pages and pages and pages and pages of description about this disease or that disease. But when it came to the management and how to address it, we would have like 3 lines, 4 lines, maybe five lines at most. And basically it was just like, you just have to manage it. Yeah? You can do this, you just treat symptomatically. It wasn't really addressing the core of the problem. And so, not to say there haven't been some great successes, especially in the field of neurosurgery. But when it comes to psychiatry and neurology, it's a lot more difficult. Again, because the brain is so difficult, so complex. So back to my point, nutrition plays a central role even in brain disorders. And I like this quote. This is probably, I would say, the most important quotation I've ever read on, and I've used on the field of nutrition. And it's by a giant in the field of biochemistry and nutrition called Roger Williams. And it simply says this: the human body heals itself, and proper nutrition provides it with the resources that it needs to accomplish that task. The human body heals itself, or it repairs itself, and proper nutrition provides it with the resources that it requires to accomplish that task. And so when we started looking at nutrition, when we started saying, okay, what does the brain need, for instance, to repair itself? What does the gut? What does the heart need? What do the bones need to repair itself, to function, to detoxify? And we started looking at these things, and we started looking at the studies that had gone before. Of course, a lot of research is being done in the Western world. And we decided to start piecing these things together and say, okay, what if we add this nutrient to it? What if we add that nutrient to it? And again, this was all done under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Health, so we are covered. And so we started looking at these things. One of the things that we found out that was super important was omega-3 fatty acids. And so we started using omega-3 fatty acids in kids. We're having kids coming to us from everywhere with cerebral palsy and brain damage. And so we started using that, and the results were phenomenal. In the next segment, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you should avoid and what you should use when it comes to nutrition. Just kind of give you a bird's eye view and some intelligent way to look at it. So we will see you soon. Welcome back. All right. So the human body heals itself. The human body heals itself. Nutrition cannot be overemphasized. The value of nutrition cannot be overemphasized. So I'm just going to point at a couple of things that you should pay attention to. And just before we get into that, I just want to emphasize a few things. For instance, we know that the single greatest cause of brain damage in children especially is something as simple as iodine deficiency. Think about that. Iodine deficiency worldwide is the commonest cause and the commonest, most preventable cause of brain damage. So why don't we just address that? Think about this. Vitamin C, which, as many of you know, the deficiency of which causes scurvy. Scurvy is when your gums are bleeding, your skin is bleeding, and everything is so loose, and your body isn't being held together. And that's because vitamin C helps to produce collagen, and helps to strengthen collagen, so it pulls your body together. That's a crude way of saying it, but think about it. For decades, at least 50 years, the British sailors knew about the importance of vitamin C to prevent scurvy, and it did not get into clinical application for another 50 plus years. I think it's over 100 years actually, before it became mandatory that physicians should consider using vitamin C in their treatments, especially when it comes to trauma and injuries and things like that. So it's an uphill task, no question. It's an uphill task to really get professionals, healthcare professionals, to think in terms of nutrition as an adjunct to treatment of cancer, treatment of heart disease, treatment of brain disorders, and all those things. Well, we're getting there. So what are the foods to eat? What are the foods to avoid? I'll start with the foods to avoid. As you grow older, I would say the age of 30 is really the cutoff. When you turn 30, just know that all the crazy things you used to do when you were younger, you can't really do, especially when it comes to food. Because the body, at the age of 30, the body has really reached its peak of physical strength, brain strength, natural brain strength, that is. So its ability to detoxify, its ability to ward and shield against infection and disease and trauma and all those things has plateaued. So henceforth, a lot will now depend on what you do, your lifestyle, how you think, your social environment, what you eat, and all those things. It also depends on your genes, but who knows what's in our genes, right? You can't just rely on something as fickle, in my opinion, as genes. So you want to be intelligent about it, and you want to take the right course of action. So here are the things that you want to avoid. The three whites, commonly known as the three whites. So white sugar can be devastating to the brain and body. White flour, we used to eat a lot of bread when we were growing up. You want to reduce that. And the third one is white rice. I know. I mean, I'm stepping on really turbulent territory now. And of course, the fourth, I would add for the fourth one, which is white stuff like pounded yam. I'm from Ekiti. I'll be the last one to really be happy about saying this, but pounded yam and the other things can really raise your blood sugar. And your body has to work really hard to bring it down, and all that raising of blood sugar, bringing it down, raising of blood sugar, that continuous cycle will exhaust your body's ability to deal with sugar, and in other words, it will prime you and push you towards having diabetes. And we don't want that, because diabetes is the second most common cause of kidney failure, and therefore the need for kidney transplant. You're wondering what number one is? Number one is hypertension. That's the first commonest cause of kidney damage and kidney failure, both of which, diabetes and hypertension, can be mitigated by using the right kind of nutrients. So it's very important that you know this. Now think about this. Your body is constantly being assailed, and you see that the image in front of you. We are literally under siege. You're looking at things like emotional stress from the inside. You're looking at bacteria. You're looking at electromagnetic waves. We're in a sea of what they call EMFs, electromagnetic waves, from our cell phones, from the microwave, from the TV, everywhere. In this modern day and age, we are assailed, we are bombarded by all kinds of frequencies that are affecting us at the level of our genes, believe it or not. What else? In the third world country, in Africa especially, tropical diseases, typhoid, malaria, meningitis, all these different things, they are constantly fighting against us. And if we are not supplying our bodies with the resources, the tools that it needs to fend off and to repair itself, you can easily see that we're fighting a losing battle. Most of us don't even realize that we're in a battle. So I want to emphasize this again and again and again to you, that you cannot take things for granted, especially if you're 30 years old and above. Your body is already breaking down. The death march has begun. You also want to avoid, these are the obvious ones like I'm going to mention now. You want to avoid taking too much alcohol. Beer, taking a lot of beer, wine, whiskey. There hasn't been much to say to their credit. They cause a lot of damage. They can affect the brain. They can affect your thinking, affect your sleep patterns, affect your gut and digestive system. Now, the corollary to that is that drinking beer in groups and social settings, really just being around people really is a boost for your health as a whole. So people kind of say that, well, that you drink beer so you can be with people and all that. But you just want to be aware of these things, because beer again, excessive alcohol, continuous excessive alcohol can cause liver damage and need for liver replacement, kidney damage as well. So you want to avoid that. I don't have to mention smoking. One of the things that smoking and cigarette and cigars does is that it tightens or shuts down or closes down the blood vessels everywhere to the skin, making you more prone to wrinkles. Maybe that's a white problem. We black people don't really have all that wrinkles all that much, but still, it affects the brain. It affects the blood vessels going to the brain. It affects blood vessels going everywhere. If your blood vessels are not having enough, if your blood vessels are tight, that means that your blood vessels are not able to supply enough oxygen. They're not able to supply enough glucose. They're not able to supply enough of the right nutrients that your body needs to heal and to repair itself. So you want to be aware of those things. Fried foods. We've talked about this in the past. What happens with oil, vegetable oil, groundnut oil, whatever, is that once you heat it up to a very high level, which is what happens when you're frying akara and plantain and all those things, is that it changes the constituencies, it changes the components, those chemical components in that oil, and changes into something that can be quite dangerous and affects you adversely. If you're healthy, you may not feel it, but we know that these things are really, really bad for people like children with autism or children with sickle cell disease. In fact, I've heard story after story in which kids, they're doing okay, and they can't eat akara, or they eat fried foods, and boom, they have a crisis. And it's a really, really bad crisis. That's because their bodies are not as strong as the average kid's bodies, and so anything that is a toxin or considered to be a toxin by the body is fought against. Now we are having the same thing, but it's just because we're stronger. But think about it: over the years, over the decades, it begins to break down your body. So I see children with sickle cell disease, children with asthma, children with autism as kind of what is called the canaries in the coal mine. Canaries in the coal mine. In those days, when miners used to go underground, and they were afraid of being exposed to dangerous gases like methane and carbon monoxide, and so they would send in a canary, a little bird, into the coal mine to see how the canary would fare. And if there was a lot of toxic gases, the canary would die. And so that would tell them that this is a problem. There might be too much of this gas in the system. I see children like that with sickle cell disease, like I said, autism and asthma, as people who have those problems. So we're going to come back, get right back. The producer is saying we should stop. Okay, we'll be right back, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back. All right, so this is Christmas period. You're going to be eating a lot of food. You're going to be invited to drink a lot of alcohol and all that. That's fine. Just remember, these are the things that you should put in your to keep in remembrance throughout this period. Number one, you need to take a lot of vitamin D. You know, we talk about that a lot. Vitamin D is one of the most protective nutrients in your body. I'm just going to tell you what I do and what I would probably do. So some of the most important nutrients are found in plants, specifically vegetables. They are the nutrients that you'll find that will help to protect the brain, help to protect the body. So if you can take a lot more vegetables, yes, take your pounded yam, yes, take your plantain dodo, take your fried rice, knock yourself out. But as you're taking those things, remember to take a lot of veggies, not fruits as much, but veggies, because those are what help to protect you. So what I do, of course, I take vitamin D3. I take before I go to bed at night, there are three things I always try to take. I take a lot of, at least 1 gram of vitamin C. I have a powder that I take, and if you want information, let us know. I have a powder, and I have also we have fiber from the psyllium husk. It's absolutely fantastic. It's extremely important for digestive health, not just for yourself, but probably even more importantly for your good bacteria. And we'll probably talk about that. I'm sure we have talked about it in the past. But your good bacteria are extremely important for helping your digestive system and your brain work. As a matter of fact, many kids with autism is because of that imbalance between good and bad bacteria. Anyway, that's beside the point. You need psyllium husk. You need high levels of good fiber. Some say about 40 grams a day as of good fiber to help your immune system, to help your cardiovascular system, to help your brain work like it should. So I take psyllium husk, I take vitamin C, sometimes I take vitamin D before I go to bed, and I take an enzyme/probiotic formula. The nighttime is when your body is healing, is when your body is repairing, is when your body is recovering from the stresses of the day, emotional stress, physical stress, toxins, and all those things. It's also the time and the only time when your brain heals and repairs itself. So it's crucial, in my opinion, it is crucial that you provide your brain and body with the things that it needs, especially alcohol. It helps to cleanse you have to cleanse your body of the alcohol you've been taking. So fiber, vitamin C, vitamin D, a probiotic supplement, an enzyme supplement, all those will just give your body the nourishment and the nutrition that is going to need to kind of like when you recover in the morning. So there you have it. A good multivitamin is also very, very important as well. So just keep on remembering these things. Don't take things for granted. Please, don't take things for granted. Take something. If all you're doing is taking vitamin C, take it. If all you're doing is taking vitamin D, take it. Just do something. And so with that, we're going to sort of wrap up on today's presentation. And just to remind you again, I'm going to put that flyer up again. We are having our outreach on the 20th of December in Lagos, Surulere, Lagos. Go to our website for information. We need all the help we can get. Our goal is 500 kids. I don't know. I still don't know how we're going to do it, but we've done such things in the past. But 500 kids who have moderate to severe sickle cell disease. Lend a helping hand, help out. I'm sure reach out to us. We need all the help we can get. So again, the website is brainandbodyfoundation.org, and you get information there. If you want to catch up on our previous videos on different conditions, please go to the NTA YouTube site. You see Your Health in Your Hands, NTA. And I'm sure you get and see the videos there. So have a wonderful Christmas. I wish you all the very, very best, and we look forward to a fantastic, Christmas, New Year period. God bless.